it's a priority of this government to see to it that everyone can afford the simple dream of owning, not renting, but owning your own home. Because we know how difficult it is when you go to the banks and it's 30% you have to deposit, or 10%, or you have to dig up your grandmother or your grandfather and what they used to own and what collateral they have. And that is difficult for young people who are trying to get ahead. And at the Ministry of Rummy, we have been working on this project from the beginning we came in. And I can safely say that we are about 70% complete. I will be flying to Curacao to meet the financier and the developers on how we're going to complete and solidify this agreement for the people of St. Martin. So we are making strides. And again, as I always have to, nod my head a bit and say thanks to the Council of Ministers because of their experience. We don't always agree with the way forward, but one thing we agree on is that we are going forward. And I had a discussion with the Minister of Health yesterday, and he said, Minister Emmanuel, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not angry with you. I'm just showing you a different path or a different way you should look at it. Because we was discussing garbage, we was discussing the landfill and how we should move forward with that, because it is something that we will have to get accustomed to. A fee for garbage. We know in Curacao, when it comes to household garbage, we are doing the research, we got the information, they charge 20 guilders every household on their electrical meter for garbage. Aruba does 25 guilders. And the discussion that we was having, in the difficult times here in St. Martin, it will be hard for someone who already pays 75 guilders or 100 guilders for their electricity, and here we come attaching another 25 guilders. And my thing was, we need to do something, and we was discussing on how the approach would be. And if you want to call it ignorance of youth or just want to move forward, my whole thing was it needs to get done. And the Minister and the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance say, yes, we agree that something should be done, but you should look at it from a different angle, whether you will want to exempt those who are paying 100 guilders or less or something. But we are working on these things because as it is right now, we have to get things done. That's the bottom line. And it has no time. I won't call on the Minister of Education or the Minister of Health or the Minister of Justice and say, listen, this is what I'm working on, but I need your input, because when it comes down to the final part, you will be responsible for this. Tell me what you think. So it's not to say that we are always fighting. There's no time we are fighting. We just have a difference of opinion on the way forward or the approach. But one thing we agree on is that we are moving forward. But like I said, I'm happy today because the cabinet is complete. Melissa is in. Minister Melissa is in. Yes, sorry about that. And her approach already relating to the back street was one of, listen, it will get done. I'm going to review it and it will be done. Minister Rafi signed off on it at the time as being minister. So like I made mention, by the end of this month, I would safely say that back street will be dealt with. It will be taken care of, because I know the condition that it's in right now. And again, the affordable homes for the people of St. Martin, gated community, 100% financing. So we will be bringing more information in the coming weeks after I return, after the 14th, 15th. We will have everything down, and the people of St. Martin will know much more and how we can move forward and who will be able to afford these homes or get their hands on one of these homes. We are saying by the end of December, December 25th, a Christmas gift, the first 50 homes will be complete. And I think it's a good thing. Nothing have been done like this in the last 20, 22 years. Our project to this magnitude, or this scale, has only been done in the homes in the Reward area, and they was done in 1973. So that's to tell you that we are thinking about the people of St. Martin. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
First of all, I'd like to add my words of congratulations and welcome to our newest minister, the member of the Council of Ministers, Minister Arundel Doncher of TIAT. And as the only female for so long, I'm quite happy. Minister Emmanuel already touched on it, but it's good for us to try to not quite even out the score, but we're trying to balance the scale somewhat. And we aim to continue to do this in subsequent councils of ministers, and I hope government and parliament, as well as many others where we are representing that women have a voice. So welcome to Mrs. Melissa Doncher, Arundel Doncher, as our newest minister, and I look forward to many situations that we jointly have to work on being realized in the short term in the interest of the people of St. Martin. At this moment, I'd also like to extend condolences to the families of the 4 young men who tragically lost their lives over the past 2 weeks. 2 will be laid to rest today. So I know that this is a very tough time, especially for all of the, not just the families, but for the young people that were connected to them. It seems as if they've been dealt quite a blow, some of them being connected to all 4 of the young people. One of the young men, in fact, is quite close to the family, my family, and the son of the executive assistant of the cabinet of the Ministry of Education, Mrs. Martinberg, her son Akeem Peters, also son of Hector Peters, were one of the young men that lost his life last week in the accident over the weekend. So this is a very tough time, not just for her and the family, but for all of us here. The ministry has been dealt quite a blow, not via her alone, but his partner was also the one dealing with our pieces at General Affairs, so documents moving back and forth. So it's a personal as well as a tough blow for the ministry in dealing with the loss. We've had quite some loss over the past year. So much strength and prayers are extended from the ministry, from my person, to all the families and friends, loved ones of these 4. And as we're in the Lent season, I would like to encourage the young people and us mature, older ones as well, to be very careful out there, to be cognizant of life goes beyond today. Life goes beyond today, and let's do our best to continue to contribute to making it better. In more interesting news, I'm sure better news that the general public is interested to hear, if you're interested in furthering your studies in the US or Canada, an important step in preparing to further your studies in the US and Canada is to ensure that you have applied for a student visa or study permit. This topic is very important as it ties to immigration matters. If any mistakes are made during the application process or any important information is left out, this can cause unnecessary delays and may cause your application to even be declined. As a result, the Student Support Services Division, in an effort to demystify the process, is inviting students and parents to steps to applying for a U.S. student visa or Canadian study permit, which is an interactive workshop to be held on April 13th at 2017 from 5 to 6 at the University of St. Martin. So that's April 13th, next week, from 5 to 6 at the university. Parents and students who are interested in applying for a U.S. study student permit or a Canadian study permit. This is very important information. In sports news, currently going on right now, as you have noticed, the lights dimmed a few minutes ago. The meeting room of government is being used by the St. Martin Sports and Olympic Federation in collaboration with the sports department as they're hosting a sports conference. Mainly a sports administrative course, which is being administered. Several speakers and information is being disseminated to the various stakeholders in sports in our effort to further strengthen the institutions and better prepare our athletes for the upcoming Barranquilla Games in 2018. Finally, I'd like to update the general public on my recent trip to Cuba. While the official report is still pending, I'd like to inform that after 4 days of marathon meetings with both ministries and higher education institutes, including the Ministries of Higher Education, Culture, and Tourism, and universities such as the universities of arts, medicine, hospitality and tourism, pedagogy, sports, and all of these institutions and ministries were able to give us firm commitments as a kingdom, but even more so the institutions on a one-on-one basis with the different institutions that were represented from in the kingdom, to collaborate, to share expertise, promote student and professor exchange, technical assistance, research collaboration, and partner within the kingdom as kingdom partners, but also more importantly, as fellow Caribbean countries. The welcome by the government and the professional community of Cuba was indeed heartwarming and encouraged future cooperation. The Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport can expect to come to some very firm agreements within the coming months as to the scope of the multi-year plan of cooperation between Cuba and St. Martin, which marks a historical first at this level. Opportunity for a delegation to travel to Cuba to secure a part of our cultural heritage through the film industry and gain exposure through exchange in the Caribbean market is expected as soon as the end of June. This will be a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Culture in Cuba and our Department of Culture in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport here. So they are financing part of it and we are financing part of it. So this is a first step and that will be at the end of June. Contacts were also made with University of Havana Hospitality and Tourism, the Vocational School of Arts, the Latin American School of Medicine, the Pedagogic University, which deals specifically with education of teachers at all levels, the University of Physical Culture and Sports and Research Center of Sports, and the Technical Vocational Schools, as well as the institute that collaborate with the vocational schools to provide work and instruction in specific areas, specifically restoration of monuments and restoration and construction. These contacts will be shared with the vocational higher educational institutes right here on St. Martin, as well as other cultural organizations who can benefit from, and sports organizations who can benefit from such collaborations on St. Martin to further enhance their program development, as well as a possibility for us as St. Martin students, athletes, and artists to matriculate in universities in Cuba. A comprehensive report will be shared with the Council of Ministers and stakeholders in an effort to make the most of this kingdom mission to Cuba, which will result in many positive actions, which fit perfectly within our 4-year governing program recently released to the public. While even in our meetings, the minister specifically said that Cuba is a poor country and many from outside perceive Cuba to be a poor country, based on the experience over these past few days, it is evident that Cuba is very rich in its cultural development, in its educational systems, and has what to export to the wider world, and specifically to the Caribbean in our efforts to develop. They are far ahead where certain areas are concerned, and we also have areas of expertise which we could share with them, as they were very concerned about their water production. And that's an area where desalination is concerned. They are looking at that option where St. Martin would be able to also offer some level of expertise. So we look forward to that. Especially also where sports and arts are concerned. Many of our athletes, and we're looking forward to ways that we can facilitate their development, bringing coaches and instructors and technicians down, as well as getting some insights into meeting the needs of our special needs students. So I would like to, at this moment, extend a warm and heartfelt thank you to not just the kingdom for allowing all of us to go together on this mission, but also to the ambassador of the Netherlands in Cuba and the Cuba government and the people for their hospitality, willingness to work with us to further enhance both our countries. I did say lastly, but I do have a small note on Carnival. With the Carnival season approaching, several activities have already taken place. I'd like to take the time to congratulate our junior queen, Ms. Idania Charles Gums. I was not on the island for that pageant, but I did witness some of the preliminary speeches and debate competitions of the older contestants or delegates. I look forward also and congratulate the 10 finalists of the Calypso competition. Look forward to witnessing that, as that took place exactly on the evening I arrived and was unable to attend that as well. But I hear it was quite humorous, and I look forward and at a pretty good level to the final competition during the carnival. So much success to all as they continue to pursue their goals in these competitions. And with the season coming up and the Junior Carnival Parade happening way before, I'd like to express to the general public, parents in particular, to keep a keen eye out for your children. Remember, the Carnival Development Foundation is not responsible for your children, especially those that are spectating. We as a community have to continue to look out for our children. Parenting comes first, and then the rest of the community kicks in. And we do want the village to continue to look out for our children, continue to promote respect for self and respect for others, and while having fun, still remember in these things that you are a child. If it is a child activity, that you can conduct yourself in manners behooving children. So I would like us to completely focus on making sure that we are keeping our youth safe, empower them to know their rights, yes, but also empower them to execute responsibility and respect, and parents remembering your responsibility, because I believe the police department made it quite clear what some of the consequences would be if young persons who are not supposed to be taking part in, especially the adult sections of the carnival celebrations, are, found to be doing so. We would like to keep the carnival as safe as possible. So parents, you do your due diligence, and I'm sure all of the other authorities will do the same. So I wish during this Lenten season, as we prepare for carnival as well, contradiction in terms, yes, I know, but part of our cultural history, be safe, and much success to all who are participating.
I'll first like to start by extending heartfelt congratulations to our new colleague, Minister Melissa Doncher. I don't know who's happier with this appointment, Mrs. Doncher or myself, but I really want to welcome her. I think she will do a perfect job. I have worked with her for a number of months. She's a very serious, dedicated person with all good intentions for the work ahead. I also would like to extend a word of thanks to the members of the Cabinet of TIAT, who have played a very, very important role in the past few months. They have really worked very hard, having to share a minister with justice at a time when justice required so much time of the minister. So I would like to thank the members of the TIAT cabinet, and I know that they would continue to perform as professionally as they have done from the beginning with their new minister, Minister Melissa Doncher. I also would like to thank the community and community groups on St. Martin who have already started to demonstrate their involvement in assisting with the issue with crime fighting. At the beginning of my term, I mentioned that fighting crime is not just the police or the Minister of Justice, it's all of us. And two projects have been recently completed. Yesterday, the police, with a renovation of their front office, their front appearance. And the initiative, yes, was an initiative of the police, but it was made possible by support of different community groups. The police mentioned them yesterday, so I will not try to mention them now, especially with the risk of forgetting one or two. But I did it yesterday. I thank them very much, and I would like to again thank them, because these type of cooperation and assistance mean more than just the material part of it. It shows the police also that what they do in the community, what they come out to do every day, is appreciated by members of the community, and that those members of the community support them. So a big thank you for that. This morning, just prior to this press briefing, I have received, on behalf of the prison, a donation of books from the Rotary Club of St. Martin. I know there are different Rotary clubs. This is the one with Mr. Waver and Mr. Krayenveld. As you may recall, one of the items that in the court case that the judge said is that we should update the books in the library. It is not so that the prison didn't have a library or there were not books in it, but should update the books that are in the library. And the books that were updated, the titles of the books are very appropriate to be used in that particular library. And as I said this morning to the Rotary Club, if it takes one of the inmates to read one of those books and reflect on how they would move forward with their lives, then it would have been worth the effort. And I'm sure my colleague of education would agree with me that we all should read more. And the fact that you made a mistake in your life and that you are now in custody doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to you. So when I said that while losing the case, I was still happy with the outcome. Some insinuated it might have been putting a positive spin to it. No, it is the truth. Because I believe that all of those things that were there were in the plan, are in the plan, and I think what the judge did was make sure that, knowing that some of these things would be on a lower priority than some of the major things, by putting this verdict, the judge made sure that they would also get the necessary attention, as these relate directly to the inmates. So again, the Rotary Club, all of those community organizations who have assisted so far, and the police chief, Mr. Carl John, who's doing a tremendous job also with the project of the community policing. It is very important, and I would like to thank all of them for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Boseman, for your presentation this morning. If you're just joining us, you're viewing the Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, April 5th, 2017. I'd like to open the floor for any questions the media might have, keeping in mind we have a very short period of time. So this week, what I will do, one question. Across the board, we cycle back around to allow everyone fairly a chance to ask a question to the ministers. Bibi Shaw, you have the floor.
Thank you, Cedric. Minister Lee, on Friday, I think it was, I received the roll from the court, and on that list there was a case to be handled yesterday afternoon where the inspectorate took you to court. When I was there yesterday, suddenly it dropped off. In your statements, you have said many times that you don't interfere. Can you explain to us why the inspectorate even initiated a court case against you?
Well, the discussion revolves around an instruction that was sent to the inspectorate regarding protecting the privacy of individuals. The inspectorate felt that there were, that prior to issuing that, we should have had a discussion in terms of good governance. I said, I'm fine with that. And so we had a discussion, and as a result, that instruction was withdrawn, and discussions are ongoing. So it has to do with a very basic, fundamental right of privacy of individuals and how that's protected. And this is an ongoing discussion within the ministries. And as you know, this has been a discussion in particular related to a document that was published on your website, where there's some that feel that that was a breach of an individual's confidentiality, and that's a discussion that's ongoing. But working towards having a clear policy is a healthy thing for how the ministry functions and for the community at large.
Andrew W. Harold, Morning.
Yes, good morning to all ministers. Minister Jacobs, concerning the Lionel Connell School, is there any update where that is concerned?
Good morning. Thank you for that question. I believe that, well, not believe, I know was updated this morning. I'm not very happy with the update. The school, there was, because of the changes in the whole electrical system, there was a delay in getting the whole thing. You have to get a new meter, etc., etc. That's being worked out this week. The other fixes that have been requested by myself as well as the school's management are being done this week as well into next week, and they are expecting that it will be finalized by the end of next week, which will then run us into the Easter vacation. For me, as I said before in previous briefings, these things should have been dealt with concurrently, so I'm dealing with the ones responsible for that. So I consider these delays unnecessary, so they are aiming to the week after move in the students, move in the materials, and get him moving. So that would be after the Easter break. I would like to assure that it can be finalized at that time. So around the, was it the 20th? We are looking at the latest deadline. But not that it's something I'm happy with. I believe it's gone on much too long. And when I listen to the Vromi minister talking about being able to execute homes by the end of December, I'm like, wow, I need to get his people to get not only my schools fixed, but also the SMVTS, which has been hanging for a year and change. So I would definitely need to sit with the Minister of Vromi to figure out how we can streamline and facilitate some of our pending projects that have been ongoing and have seen many unnecessary delays. So I thank you for that question. It has also a very strong priority by me. Those students, many of those students, the ones that are in the Charles Bell School are pretty much, you know, secured, but the ones that have to travel back and forth are definitely being affected. Their parents are being affected. The other schools that they are housed at are being affected, the teachers. And I would like that, you know, all see that this is also important for the move to happen sooner rather than later. Exams for the 6th graders will be also in May, and they should be settled in their own situation before that happens. So definitely hoping and praying that they can meet this latest deadline.
Thank you, Andrew. Alita, good morning. You have the floor.
Good morning, Cedric. Thank you. Good morning, Ministers. Minister Emmanuel, on your housing project, could you give a little bit more insight in government's part in it and also the location that's been identified for that?
Yes, of course, I can do that. That's why during when the minister was speaking a while ago, I was giving you some hand gestures, telling you after the press briefing, if you mind, you can stay back a bit, and I will elaborate a bit more on it. But just to because I know of the time now, that's why I said that, because I was looking at soon it will be 11. But of course, we are looking at the Don Beach area, and we are also talking, the company is Villanova, which is a pension fund out of Curacao, that also have two of the largest recipients of pension in St. Martin, which is GEBE and Telem. And you know, like I said, it was a project that we have been working on for a very long time from time I came in, because one of the things was to move forward with affordable housing. And you know, what I did is I always try to make it my business to get information where there's property, who is selling. And we met someone who was selling property in the location over almost 80,000 square meters of land. It will be called Valley View Estate. And like I said, between now and next year, come down to the middle of next year, we should have complete 100 homes. But from now, starting in June to the 25th of December, we will have about 50 homes complete. But as I said, after the press briefing, I can elaborate a bit more on, you know, the difference in price and cost and how it can go.
Okay, thank you very much. Alita, final round. Baby, you have the floor.
3 questions.
One question.
Minister Lee, the audit at the hospital, you kept saying they're discussing. Do you have a date now for that audit? And my other question relating to the hospital, right there, and then you can answer it. Is it true that water testing was done at the hospital, SMMC, and Legionella was found to be there?
As I mentioned, in particular, there's two, again, assessments. One, according to the JCI accreditation, the consultant is arriving on the 16th of this month. So that is the consultant who's been hired to establish a baseline for the hospital and to help the hospital to develop its own plans, a self-improvement plan in order to work towards their JCI accreditation. The other one, I'm not familiar with what the end conclusion is. I do know the inspectorate's in discussions and it's in progress, so I'm not sure when that's actually going to be finalized. In terms of water testing, it's not something that I've heard anything about. I haven't heard anything about a water test being done and Legionella is being discovered there.
Yes, Minister Emmanuel. Yes. Concerning the Backstreet, the cost related to it, how much would it cost?
Well, like I made mention, the budget was already approved before this government was installed. I think it was 2-point-something million guilders at the time. And look, excuse me? No, yeah, at the time. And given the conditions that it's in right now, we had a discussion in the Council of Ministers, and it was, let us get Backstreet done and let us get it done now. So what we have done is sort of isolated part of the budget. Like I said, it's coming from TIAT's budget. So TIAT is the one that will be spending their money. And I think it will be in excess of 900 and something thousand guilders, where we will be paving from the top, the head of town, all the way down past the Nunez, going all the way down past the old, how should I, France called me out, Johnny come lately, because I couldn't remember the name of the old music store that used to be, but we'll be going all the way down in Back Street. So what will be happening is there wouldn't be bricks anymore, but it will be paved going all the way down. You will get 30 centimeters of base course that will be flattened and hardened, and then you're going to get, I think, 16 centimeters of asphalt from the head of town all the way down past Miss King, past Seaview Alley, going down.
Thank you, Andrew. Alita.
Minister Emmanuel, on the sewage plant together with the French side, those negotiations, of course, had stopped due to the border disputes at Oyster Bay. Can you indicate whether those negotiations or talks have restarted?
Well, to be honest with you, no. Those on behalf of the Minister of Rummy, I haven't engaged in no discussion concerning the sewage plant, the joint venture with the sewage plant. I've left that up to the Prime Minister because it was something that he was dealing with on that level with the superfare and the individuals on the northern side and the French government. So no, I have not engaged in no discussion concerning the sewage plant, joint sewage plant.